What's going on, good people? Thank you for checking out this video. Today, I actually have a Samsung TV. It is a Samsung Smart TV, and we'll get to the specifics in a moment, but the customer got a new TV and said, do what you want to with the old TV because it doesn't work. I will talk about that in a little bit more. Let's get started with the intro. Hey, my name is Kenny. I'm the owner of Robinson Handy and Technology Services based in Montgomery, Alabama, where we do handyman and technology work. If you have a need for some work and you are in the Montgomery or River Region area, please find us online, rhtservices.net. This is a Samsung TV, and I will show it here in a second, but the customer, I mounted this TV about a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago. And I remember I went over there, put it in. The last TV that they had just stopped working, which was kind of an interesting thing. But so I put this TV in, and then fast forward to this year, and to be honest, I think it was about the same time last year when I put it in. Fast forward to this year, they called me back and were like, hey, we need a TV mounted again. I was like, all right, cool. Come by, and they're like, yeah, the TV stopped working, and they've had Samsung come out and replace the motherboard in the TV, and it would work, and then it would stop working again. And so they were like, whatever, and they called Samsung, and they had a back and forth with Samsung. And from what I recall, she said that they didn't give them, a refund for the TV, but they did give them a credit or reimbursement or discount, something of that nature, for the new TV that I ended up mounting for them. And they have this old TV now and whatnot. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to do with it. And they didn't want to keep it. They were just going to put it out on the curb. So I was like, I'll take it with me, and maybe I can find somebody that can do something with it. But I was like, let me see if I can try to fix it myself, because a lot of times the TVs don't have serviceable parts. Sometimes you can get replacement parts, but not necessarily serviceable parts. So I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. And so this is the breakdown to see if I can address the issue with this TV. I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera and show you what is going on with it. Without giving away too much, this is the TV. It is a Samsung, and I will flip it over in a second to give you the model number. But what we have is the LED indicator, which is down here on the bottom, will turn on briefly, and you will see the TV turn on, and then it just gets stuck in like this power cycle or booting cycle. So let me go ahead and switch the power supply on. All right, the power is on, and as you saw, the light flickered. Maybe I'll do it again. I don't know. All right, so we got two blinks, and then we got a power on. As you see, the backlight is kicking on. And 1, 2, and then it attempts to turn on, and you'll see the backlight. So off, on, backlight clicks on, backlight cuts out. And this cycle repeats until you turn the power off. Now, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the power off right now. When I first got it and first plugged it in, it did show the Smart TV logo that Samsung do when you first turn them on. But after that, it didn't do it. Now, I'm thinking it didn't do that. It did that first time because of the fact the TV had been off and had not been used in a significant amount of time. And even the customer was like, yeah, we've had the new TV sitting on the floor for some time now, and we're tired of having it sit on the floor. We want to go ahead and get it put up on the wall because Samsung is not able to fix it, and so forth. So I was like, all right. So I don't know how long it had been unplugged, but that initial first time on, it was unplugged long enough to display that logo, at least get far enough to display in the logo. I did do the recommended steps of doing what they call the soft reset, which is you unplug the TV or power it off. You unplug the TV, hold the power button down on the TV itself for about 30 seconds, and then you plug it back in and start back up. I did do that, and that did not reset or fix the issue. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart, and we'll see what we have on the inside. Before we get too far into the process, I'm going to show you the model information. So as you see here, the model number is a UN50TU800F. And of course, the same as the type number. This is a 120 volt TV. And you see all the other information here. Pause to read. All right, so the interesting about this particular model of TV is that it does not have screws to remove the casing, but it does have these locking tabs around the edge, and you kind of just have to go around the edge of the TV and separate the locking tabs from the back of the TV. And so that's what I'm doing now, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't go too fast and break them off because I'm not exactly sure where they are located. So I have this side off and I have the bottom off. Let me come back to this side over here and work my way back around. All right, so it took a moment, but I think I got all the tabs out, and off comes the back. All right, so what we have here is we have a power supply, and we have our motherboard or primary board. Now the customer did say that the primary board did get replaced at some point. I think this was the initial thing that got replaced, and when it got replaced, it worked for a moment and then it quit. And so, yeah, that's interesting. And so we have, here are the speakers. You got your power supply, your motherboard, and or your primary controller, or there's a number of technical names that are used for this, but that's what that is. And then you have this ribbon cable here, which actually goes to the display, and the there's another circuit strip down here across the bottom that connects the actual panel itself. The suggested thing that I saw was to disconnect some of the cables and do them one at a time. So I'm going to start here with this. Well, I can't disconnect that because that is the power cable or the button to the power button, and I don't have the remote to this TV, so the only way I would be able to turn it on is with that. So I'm trying to release this. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to release this ribbon cable and fold that there. I guess I could also check over here for any capacitors to see if there are any warped, and I do not see anything wrong over here. They all look normal shaped, and also checking for any other burn marks, and I don't see any there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plug the TV back in, and we're going to see if the backlight kicks on. So just find the right cord. All right, and make sure I don't have that touching anything, and I don't. All right, so I'm going to turn the light out really quickly and see if we can see the backlight staying on. All right, so the backlight is staying on without this being connected, which means we probably, and I don't know if you heard that, but there is a sound that the TV made, and as you see, it is fully working without the ribbon connected. All right, so let's power things off if I can. Not sure if it'll work with that there. Okay, so it did turn off. All right. So next step is we're going to disconnect that, turn the light back on for a second here. And so over here we have a ribbon strip that goes to each of the portions of the panel. And so I do see some connections here. It is possible that some of these could be bad as well. So what I'm going to do is to take one of these out of here and plug that strip back in and see what happens. Assuming I can get this out. Okay, yeah. So we have that one out. We're going to kind of run that wire there to kind of block it from touching. We're going to put this one back in because I'm not 100% sure if that side is the problem or the other side is the problem, but you got to start somewhere. All right, so that is connected, and this one is disconnected. And is there another connection point? No. So this is the primary connection point, and then there's a secondary one over here to that. All right, so let's try it again. We'll turn the light back out and plug back in. All right, and we'll go ahead and hit the power button. And it looks like everything is working. I don't hear the sound that I heard the last time. Let me see if I can raise the face and see. Okay, so right now the LED backlight is on, but the screen is black. All right, so let's turn everything off. We'll disconnect it. And we'll run this cable back in here again to see and reseat this connection. I assume that's in there correct, and we'll double check this connection as well. Make sure nothing's on it. Don't see anything on it. So seat that in all the way. All right, and let's try this one more time. All right, and it sounded like it booted up. Let me check the face. All right, so it did make a sound. It's not currently showing anything, but it is still lit. And if I could turn it the other way, I would, but it's kind of difficult to flip it from that side of the table with the camera over there. So currently the screen is black, and I'm not sure what that could mean, but the backlight is working, power supplies are all working, everything else is working the way it should. You just can't, it's not showing anything. All right, and so All right, so the next thing I'm going to try to do, let's power that off. If I hold it. All right, so it turns off when I tell it to turn off. All right, and may need to check the jumpers. So let's get the voltmeter out and see what we're working with. Because we don't have a screen, like the screen is turning on, but the display is 100% black. So that it's not promising, and it's probably what the customer was experiencing as well. All right, so from here, so we have some voltages listed, and on the 801 pin, which is this one right here, there are some numbers listed on there as far as the voltages go. So let's check the voltages coming to the power board and see what we have. And I'm not sure if these are AC or DC. All right, so we have an A13V, means 4.1 amps DC. All right, so we're gonna set our meter to DC. Plug it in, and as you see, the LED backlight immediately turns on. Now, if we check each of the pins, so the chassis of this should be ground, and we will go down the list to see. So we have 4.1 amps. So I'm not sure about that one. So that is 12.6, 12.8, 12.8, 12.8. We have a 0. And then on the other side, we have a 0, 0, 3.9, 3.2, 0, and 0.6. Okay. And I noticed with that 0.6 there, the lights on the backlight here, I don't know if you saw it, but they dimmed a little bit. All right, so so according to this, we have a dimmer. Okay, I see. So we have a couple of grounds on one side, and then we should have 13579. Excuse me, 3579 has the 4.1 amps, 13 volts. So 12.8 is close to 13. And then you got your power supply, your pulse width modulation, and NC, which I think stands for no contact, and then the ANA dim, which I am not 100% sure what that means. All right, so when I plug the board in, which I probably should have unplugged the power supply first. So let's do that. Unplug the power supply, give it a moment to reset. All right, and then we'll plug it back in. All right, so right now the LED is solid red. It's not blinking like it was when I showed you earlier. So if I press the power button, it powers on. Which it wasn't doing that before. So maybe the connection was just loose, possibly. But as it currently stands, the screen, the display is still completely black. It does not have an image on it. All right, so let me attempt, I want to attempt the reset procedure again. because this is some progress, although it's not a lot of progress. It is some of the way there, because it may be also one of these other connections might be loose. All right, so I'm gonna remove the power. And so the procedure for this is to hold the power, remove the power, hold the power button for 30 seconds. And then once the power has been restored, it should have soft reset. The reason why you hold this power button is to drain the power that is in the TV from standby usage and the capacitors and so forth. Drain all of that out, so it is literally a cold start or a hard boot. So I also want to, while I'm doing this, I'm going to come back and double check these connectors, because she did say this board did get replaced. And then I'm also check these connectors down here as well, just in case. I'm not sure if these come out or not. They look like they just slide in. Yep, and they just slide right out. And so we'll double check the connections under here if there are any, which I'm not sure if there are. So it does not appear any connections like this one are under here. But we do see these ribbon cables here and whatnot. All right, so I'm going to disconnect the sound, which is this right here. This is one of the two speakers. And also look at things here, make sure nothing seems fried or popped or anything. And everything looks well, at least on this side of it. We'll also check the motherboard. Don't see anything that's standing out here. That is a heatsink. So if I remove this connector, so I want to take it out and then reseat it, just to make sure that if it was loose, that it was reseated properly. There we go. All right, and nothing seems too far off base with that one. All right, so take it out, reseat it, plug it back in. All right, and it did click. Okay, our sound system is unplugged, and I can't turn this on unless I have this plugged in. So I kind of have to leave this plugged in here. And then the driver here, let's see about this one on this end, to make sure it is seated correctly as well. And none of the pins looked harmed in any way, and everything looks correct. So we will slide that back in there. And it's supposed to go all the way in. Let's see if we can get that in a little bit further. All right, there we go. I may need to remove some of this tape to make sure it gets all the way there. All right. All right, so that's in there and locked down. And we'll double check this one more time, make sure it's all the way in. All right, and give it a little tug test just to make sure. Go ahead and take this back down, because that's the way it's supposed to be, so things don't come out of place. All right, we have our sound system now unplugged, even though we did confirm that it was working, but I want to try it one time without it working, or without it connected, to see if that will address any issue that may be happening with the display. All right, so the backlight did kick on. All right, so it does appear that it has powered up. Do not see the LED blinking but I do see the light flickering back and forth. So let's check the display. And the display is still completely black. All right, so I'm going to take this other speaker out as well and check the connections on this side of the panel. And I see a problem here that this connection is not all the way back in. All right, so let's get things unplugged. And we'll put those right there for now. That one's there. Let's plug this back in and make sure it's in good this time. It appears to have slipped out somehow. All right. So now that is in, and everything else is in. All right, so if we plug the sound system back in, so that's right and this is left. We'll double check the connection over here as well. Make sure it is all the way in there the way it should be, and it does appear to be. All right, and we'll try to power it on one more time. All right, and so it's doing the two blinking things this time. So let's unplug it. And we're going to disconnect this one again, if I can. There we go. All right, close that back down. Now let me try it one more time. All right, so it powers up. So what that means is there's possibly an issue with this portion of the TV, which drives the panels on this side of the TV. And if that is the case, then the only thing that is possibly could be done to this TV is to salvage for parts, or possibly try to find see if there's a loose connection somewhere down in here. But these things are very, very small. They are more than likely soldered together with a machine. And because of that, they cannot be serviced. The other thing is to check like where this ribbon goes, to follow it around to see if there's something on the other side that may address that issue. But that's all that I think could be done for this TV. And so if that really is the case, at most that could be done for the TV is to be sold for parts. Yeah, so it looks like a lost cause for this TV in this particular scenario. So it's unfortunate that's how things have come to be, but that sometimes is the reality of these electronics. Like some parts are serviceable, some of them are not. And a lot of times when we have, or I've received requests to fix TVs, usually I tell the customer, you're probably better off buying a new TV. And that's what happened to this customer. In this case, they ended up getting a new TV, which I mounted for them and took the old one down for them as well. All right, so if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop those down below. I will continue tinkering with this to see if I can actually get it to do something, because I mean, chances are there may be just one portion of the TV that's just bad and not the whole thing on this side, which I showed you earlier, but you never know. And well, the video is long enough as is. All right, if you have not already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this page. Also, like this video and share it to anybody that may be interested in getting a TV fixed or looked at. We are online, rhtservices.net. Thank you for watching, and please come back next week.